This is the Hohem iSteady Mobile, which is a 3-axis stabilizing gimbal for smartphones. I'm going to be using it with my iPhone 10, but it can take up to 200 grams of mobile phone weight. It costs £99, so let's see if this thing is actually any good. When you receive this item, it will come in this not so cheap looking carry case. The quality and the zips feel good, and the overall look of the case seems rather professional. The gimbal fits into its own cutout section along with the micro USB cable used to charge the gimbal and a mini tripod. Now this does feel a little bit plasticky and flimsy, but one good thing about it is it does have these kind of rubber feet on the bottom to make it less slippery when we put it down onto pretty much most surfaces. The gimbal itself is made out of plastic, but it does feel pretty sturdy and hard wearing. It also has a nice rubber grip on the front of the gimbal, which is a nice touch. It's just a shame that it doesn't go all the way around the handle. Assembling and balancing the gimbal with your mobile phone is actually very simple. All you have to do is place your phone in the clamp. If it falls one way or another, loosen the screw on the arm and then slide that arm in the opposite direction in the way the phone falls. Tiny movements can make all the difference, so make sure the phone is balanced and not falling either side. Once it's balanced, make sure that you just tighten that screw back up. And we can also balance the phone in the portrait position by moving the clamp 90 degrees, but there's an issue with that which I'll talk about later. There is a tripod mount at the bottom of the handle, so we can attach it to tripods or monopods, but I would personally say to use that mini tripod fastened to it pretty much all the time. There are two reasons. One, we can put it down wherever and whenever we want without it falling over, and also we can then use it as an extra little bit of grip on the handle, so we can use both hands to move the device to get even smoother footage. There is also another mounting point on the left hand side, so we could add an accessory on it such as a LED light or a microphone. There is a third mounting point on the bottom of the clamp, but this does seem to be absolutely pointless. The motors would not be able to handle any accessory attached to this. Also, another thing to point out here is the actual phone's connector is right next to this motor, so there's no way of actually plugging in an external microphone for our phone. I mean, we could slide our phone over to be able to get to the little connector port of our mobile phone, but this really is going to throw the balance off of the gimbal, and you're probably not going to get very good shots, and I don't think it's going to work very well. Also, on the left hand side, this is where we charge the gimbal through the micro USB, and the battery takes about 3.5 hours to charge, but it's an internal battery which is a 4000 milliamp battery which lasts for about 12 hours of constant use of this gimbal, which is a really long time. You don't have to worry about it running out midway through the day or anything. This is going to last you all day with no problems at all. And you will also see here that there is a full USB, so we can use the gimbal as a power bank, so we can charge our phone or other devices. But again, the actual phone's connector is covered up by the side of the gimbal, so it's going to make it pretty difficult to actually use the gimbal and charge the phone at the same time. We'd probably want to do it separately, so that runtime of 12 hours is probably going to be dramatically reduced if we use it to charge, say, our phone. To turn on the gimbal, all we have to do is hold the power button for 3 seconds. You can also tap the power button and it will show you the battery level by the LEDs on the side. You can also check the battery status by clicking the button even if the gimbal is turned off. Also, on the front, you will see that there is a joystick that moves the phone around. The mode button is used to go through the 4 different modes that this gimbal has, and you can go into each mode by clicking that mode button a number of times. Each mode corresponds to the abbreviated letters on the front, and this will then correspond to the LED on the top right that will flash a number of times depending on what mode you are in. Usually gimbals are done by memory, but having it wrote down on the front makes it very easy to know which mode you're in. 1 click is pan follow, meaning left and right follow but not up and down. 2 clicks is pan tilt follow, meaning it will move left, right and up and down. 3 clicks is all lock, meaning the camera's movement is locked no matter where you move the gimbal. 4 clicks is all follow, meaning the camera will move left, right, up and down and even tilt from side to side. And again, just to be clear, 2 clicks means that the mode button will flash 2 times, and that basically means we're in pan tilt follow, so I can actually pan and tilt the camera up, down and left and right. There is also a Bluetooth LED on the top left which will illuminate blue if you are connected to the app via your phone. The app is called Hohem iSteady, and once it is connected you can control some of your phone's functions via the gimbal. You can press the power button to start/stop video recording and also take a picture. There is a slide switch on the front of the gimbal which lets you zoom in and out, and that's pretty much all you can control via the gimbal. Everything else you need to touch the phone's screen. Here we can create moving time lapses by selecting multiple points you want the gimbal to move to and from. We can then set a duration, and the gimbal will move between those points to create you a moving time lapse. We can also capture panoramic pictures. It also has a tracking option, so we can draw a box around a subject and the gimbal will try to keep it in frame. It also has face detection that will automatically track your face, which is pretty good, especially if you're filming on your own. It can also be set to take a picture whenever you smile, but this seemed to be a little bit too sensitive and kept taking pictures of me. But I have to be honest, this is probably the best tracking feature I've actually had in a smartphone gimbal. I've used a lot of these and normally they are really bad, but this one seems to work more often than not, but it still doesn't work all the time. If you want to go into the app and change the speed and responsiveness of the motors, you can, but I assume that most people would not do this and just leave it set as default. Also in the app you can do firmware updates and recalibrate the gimbal via the app. But one huge bonus is that the pictures and the videos you capture using the Hohem iSteady app actually save on your phone's camera roll, not in the app itself, which is actually very good. It's a simple thing, but it makes a huge difference for me. And another really good thing about this gimbal is it can actually control the native camera app in the phone, so we can actually start and stop recording or take pictures by the button on the gimbal in the native camera app. It can also do the same within the Instagram app as well. But one thing to point out, online it does say that it control the camera in Facebook, but mine just seemed to bring up the volume. And to do this we just need to make sure that the gimbal is connected to the phone via Bluetooth. Also, just a side point that the zoom feature doesn't work in the native camera apps or Instagram, it's only the shutter button. Now you might be wondering, is there any motor noise, because obviously the phone is sat so close to those motors. Well, I'm filming on it now, and can you hear any motor noise? You might be able to hear some like distant cars in the background or something, but I would say that it's pretty much silent, and if you're going to be using it for traveling or for vlogging, then it should be absolutely fine, and that motor noise shouldn't really interrupt you at all, because I don't think there is any. So, in conclusion, what do I think of the Hohem iSteady mobile? And can you remember earlier I said there was an issue whilst filming in portrait mode? You can see the gimbal's arm in pretty much every shot whilst using the backwards facing camera. You could hold the gimbal at a slight angle, but this does seem to be a major design issue. But obviously it does work absolutely fine whilst using the front facing camera. It's just the backwards facing camera which always seems to get this arm in. And I just wish that there was an easy way to quickly go from the landscape filming to the portrait filming. I can't do it quickly, I have to, and then we're ready to film in the portrait position. But if I want to just quickly go from portrait back to landscape, other gimbals and other devices do it so quickly, so easily, that I can just move the handle to one side, get those Instagram story shots and go back to the landscape mode. That is a big letdown on the Hohem iSteady mobile, that it just doesn't do it, and it's just a very slow and faffy way to go between landscape and portrait filming. Also, sometimes you have to be careful with how you hold and use the gimbal, as the motors don't seem to like certain angles and the phone becomes off balance and not level. And after using this gimbal for some time now and creating this review, there were two more negatives that did really stand out to me. One of them is to do with the actual gimbal itself, and that was the joystick. This little thumbstick right here, it just fell off, and luckily I saw where it went because it fell in some long grass and I can actually go and get it back, and it just slides off. If I was you, if you do get one of these, get some super glue and glue this on, because if this goes, it's gone and you can't use the joystick. That's kind of, again, another bad design issue right there. And the other negative is to do with the app itself. The app seems to work fine, but if you film something or take a picture and you press the play button on the bottom left corner, it takes about 15 seconds for it to pop up on the screen to be able to watch it back, which is way too long. I don't want to be waiting 15 plus seconds to watch back a clip. That maybe could be updated with a software update for the app. But the overall ease of use of this gimbal is super easy. Like I said earlier, having those abbreviated letters on the front corresponding back to which mode you're in, having it wrote down makes it very simple and easy to use. And the overall smoothness of this gimbal is actually pretty good. Yes, there is still some wobble, but seeing a side by side, you can really see the bonus of using a gimbal like this rather than just filming handheld. So for the price of £99, what you get is actually pretty good. There are obviously pros and there are obviously cons as well. You just have to kind of look past a few of the negatives to see the positives within this gimbal. But anyway, that's enough from me, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you think of the Hohem iSteady mobile? Also, do you want me to create a comparison video where I compare this gimbal to other smartphone gimbals on the market at the moment? If you do, let me know which ones in the comment section down below right now. And if you're interested in actually picking one of these up, I will link it in the description down below right now so you can go over and buy one yourself. And thank you so much to Hohem who did send me this gimbal to create this review. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a big fat thumbs up, as it really does make a big difference to me. And if you aren't already, please hit that subscribe button and click that little bell to be notified when my next videos go live. And until next time, keep on creating.